Greetings, true believers. It's your old pal Spider-Man. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to y'all. Wednesday's really cool because on the Shipping Cadre we do a Zoom call, and really looking forward to that this evening. If you're not a member of the Cadre, join us. Find the thread about the Zoom call, put your name in, and we'll send you the info so you can join us on the Zoom call. A lot of fun. And speaking of Zoom calls, we've also had a lot of talk recently on the Shaving Cadre about straight razor and shavette shaving. So I thought I would break out my shavette. It's probably been a year or two since I've used a shavette. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since I've used an actual straight razor. So my technique is probably down the drain right now, but I'm going to pick this back up and see what we can do today. Because Barber Dave, unintentional name drop there, Nurse Dave. Barber Dave is going to do a Zoom call this Saturday where he's going to do a live demonstration Q&A about straight razor and shavette shaving. So again, if you want to get in on that, join the Shaving Cadre, find the link, and sign up for it. Should be very informative and a very cool, good time. So I'm gonna try my, this is my Weck Sextoblade. Let's see if I can get in there. So, see, it says Weck on this side. This side, it's got the Sextoblade. I think this is, these are the scales that don't have anything on them. These are originally a shaving tool, and they came with a guard that you could use. It was kind of like a training wheels, almost like putting a safety bar on the straight razor. And eventually they transitioned to, I guess these fell out of favor, and they transitioned to using these as hair shapers. So they would use them to cut hair with. And they came with a different guard that prevented you from actually coming into contact with the blade. So you can't use those guards for shaving. So sometimes if you find one with a guard, you can use it. Sometimes you can't. It's really hard to tell unless you get a look at the guard itself. One of them kind of goes away from the blade, one of them goes over the blade. Anyways, we're going to be using Southern Witchcraft's Lycanthropy. I've been kind of going through my new Southern Witchcraft soaps over the last few days. This is Lycanthropy, which has to do with wolves, werewolves. And these scent notes are fir, lilac, musk, oak moss, and mildew. Right up front, I get a lot of good lilac, and I love lilac. Lilac and lily, two of my favorite floral notes in soaps. Everything else is just kind of in the background. I'm not getting anything specifically aside from the lilac, but everything just kind of blends really nicely. Southern Witchcraft does such a good job at making sense. And if we're going to be using a werewolf soap, we're going to have to use a werewolf brush. This is my Oz Shaving Company wolf brush. So we're going to wet that and get going with this lather. Southern Witchcrafts, again, it's vegan soap, so some people might shy away from it because they're tallow snobs, but there are a lot of great vegan soaps out there that perform even better than some tallow soaps. Tallow is no longer the end-all be-all of high-quality soaps, and it takes other things besides tallow to become a tier 1 or an elite soap. Just because it has tallow in it doesn't mean it's going to be a good soap. Everything else has to be in balance and has to be right for the soap to be good. So I know back in the day, people were like, "Oh, tallow or nothing," but nowadays it doesn't even matter if it's tallow or not. You can get really good lathers and really good shaves from non-tallow soaps. There's just so many good, plant oils and other types of fats and things that can go into a soap that just really enhances the lather. Okay, so that should be enough lather. Now we're going to build it on the face and hopefully get this thin enough and slick enough that I don't cut myself up too bad with this shavette. So this is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video than I'm usually making because my straight razor technique is off. I'm gonna have to kind of figure it out as I go along, and I should definitely be shaving a lot slower than I normally do with a double edge. And I most likely won't be talking too much during the shave because I don't like talking when I've got a straight razor on my face. I do really like the Weck. Amongst all shavettes, I like it better than the feather. I know a lot of people think that the feather is the best shavette out there. I personally like the Weck a little bit better. I like them both, but they're definitely in the tops. But the you can get a Weck a lot cheaper than you can get a feather. That's one of the reasons I like them. But two, the blade is a lot wider. Let me get out my feather right here. So you can see the blade on the feather, and if I put this one at the start, you can see it sticks out a bit. So you actually get more shaving area with the Weck. The blades are a lot cheaper. You can get the blades locally at Sally Beauty. And to me, this just has more of the weight feel balance of a true straight than the feather does. The feather's a little bit heavier. The scales are a little bit weird. The head is sort of straight razor shaped, but I think it's a bit heavier, so I think the weight is off on that one. This one's maybe a touch lighter than a regular straight razor, but I think it's pretty close. So here we go. And I'm probably gonna be looking in my regular mirror for the most part. I mentioned Barber Dave is the one putting the Zoom call on for the straight razors. It's going to be Saturday afternoon, or before noon if you're on the West Coast or Arizona. But in honor of Dave and me thinking about getting ready for the shave, I wore my alien shirt that I got from an auction, but Dave donated it. So again, love this shirt. Thanks, Dave. Whew. Let's see, I gotta wipe this away. I don't think I've ever done this with a mohawk before, so. You always want to try to get your skin as flat as possible, especially with a straight razor or a shavette. So you'll notice I'm like puffing out my cheeks, trying to get it flat or at least sticking out rather than sticking in. You have more of a chance of like grabbing a piece of skin or a fold if it's inward. Get down to your neck, you really want to stretch it out as much as you can. Get that surface area flattened out. Well, that was the easy side. That was my dominant side. I'm going to add a little bit of moisture back to this side. Make sure that that lather stays nice and slick. Taking a little bit longer to shave on the other side. It dries out a little bit, so really want to make sure it gets nice and slick and hydrated. And switching to the non-dominant side. Again, tricky. Eventually, I'd like to get back into my straight razors and honing. I've started collecting some stones when I find good deals on the BSTs, but I still need a finisher. This lather smells wonderful. It's one good thing about Southern Witchcrafts is the scent strength. When you lather it, it's about the same as when you're smelling it off the puck. And some of them, once you actually get it lathered, it tones down. But then there's other ones that when you get them lathered, they kind of open up. Adam's apple area is always tricky. All right, so fairly painless first pass there. Going to definitely wet my face good before I apply the second lather. Again, I want to get that lather hydrated. Make sure it's nice and slick. Skin stretching is very important. Cut yourself up real good and real easy if you don't. I think these Weck blades are not quite as sharp as a true straight. So for me at least, for beginning, they're a bit more forgiving. Unlike double edge blade shavettes, either the ones that you use to, you can use them whole or you can cut them in half depending on which shavette you have. Some of them, most shavettes that take double edge blades, you have to snap the blade in half, and it's designed just to take half of it. Those blades, since the DE blades are so thin, I think they can actually be somewhat sharper than a straight razor, and so less forgiving. You really need to be mindful of your technique when you're using one of those DE shavettes. And the pity is that most people, when they get a shavette, they start with one of those. And in my opinion, they're the worst ones to have. But most people start with them because they're cheap. And I think that combination leads a lot of people to start with something that they're not ready for, and it ends up turning them off from the whole process because they just assume that that's the way straight razor shaving is going to be as well. And they're completely different animals. That's why the either the feather or the Weck system is a closer approximation to what shaving with a straight razor is going to be like, and not the DE shavettes. DE shavettes are a fun little toy to play around with, but they can really get you if you're not paying attention. My neck is a really tricky area to do with this, so I kind of cheat on some of the strokes and I end up doing some diagonal passes and things like that to kind of make it a little bit easier. Sometimes I realize that my hand is just kind of hanging out here, not knowing what to do, waiting for an opportunity to grab some skin. So when it's not doing that job, it just kind of sits there and hangs, and I don't know what I'm doing with it. Almost done. Overall, not too bad. I didn't cut myself. Felt pretty good. It was nice to get the Weck back in my hands. Rinse this off real quick. Go for some witch hazel, as I like to do. Not required, but just one of the steps I do. And we're going to be using Southern Witchcraft's Autumn Ash, which is maple spice, smoke, amber, and cedar. Definitely has some smoke to it. I think that's probably the dominant, or at least co-dominant scent in there is the smoke, but it's pretty good. All right, so I know this has gone a little bit long, so we're gonna wrap it up real quick. Just remember, if you want a good place to hang out on the interwebs, rather than just sitting here and watching me all day, come join me on the Shaving Cadre. We'd love to have you. We got Zoom calls, we got bingo, and again, the straight razor Zoom call. Really looking forward to that on Saturday. So come join us for that. I'm Spider, and enjoy your shave. See you later, guys. Bye.